Sophia was 35, and the weight of her parents' expectations hung heavily over her life. Every family gathering, every phone call, every conversation seemed to come with a subtle, sometimes not so subtle, reminder that she needed to get married. "You're not getting any younger," her mother would say with a forced smile, as if trying to soften the blow of her words. "A good man will come along, darling. Don't wait too long." Sophia had never been the type to rush into relationships. She had been focused on her career, her passions, and her independence. But the constant pressure, the longing for her parents' approval, and the fear of disappointing them had built a pressure in her heart she couldn't ignore. At 35, desperation had begun to settle in. She tried everything: blind dates, online apps, mutual friends, and still, no one seemed to be the right fit. Each failed attempt only deepened her feelings of inadequacy. It felt like the clock was ticking louder with every passing day, echoing in her mind like a constant reminder that she was running out of time. And then, one evening, at a local art gallery, Sophia met him. His name was James. He was tall, with kind eyes, a gentle smile, and an aura of mystery that intrigued her. They talked for hours, discussing art, life, and everything in between. There was a connection, something she hadn't felt in years. His presence was calming, and his words seemed to resonate with her in ways she hadn't experienced before. He was everything she had been searching for: intelligent, thoughtful, and above all, patient with her. Before long, their relationship blossomed. He was everything she had dreamed of: a perfect match, someone who seemed to understand her heart without her needing to explain it. Sophia found herself falling deeply in love. Her parents were thrilled, but there was one strange thing about James: he never seemed to want to meet them. He was always busy or away on business whenever they tried to arrange a dinner or get together. Sophia didn't think much of it. He was busy, after all. They were married just a few months later. It was a small, intimate ceremony, just close friends and family. Sophia had never felt happier. For the first time in her life, she truly felt like she had found her soulmate, someone who loved her for who she was, someone who accepted her flaws and all. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, things started to feel off. It was little things at first. James would disappear for hours without explanation, often at night. Sometimes, he'd say he was working late, but there was no sign of him having a job. He didn't need to go to an office. There were no emails, no business calls, no messages from clients. Sophia didn't think much of it, thinking he must just be one of those rare people who didn't work the traditional 9-to-5 schedule. After all, he was an artist. He could have his own way of living. But then, strange things started happening. The house would get cold unexpectedly. She'd hear noises at night, whispers, soft footsteps on the stairs, but when she checked, James would be in bed, fast asleep. Sometimes, she'd wake up to find the sheets cold, as if he had been gone for hours, even though she hadn't heard him leave. Her friends started to notice things too. At a dinner party, one of them asked, "Sophia, has James always been so elusive? We haven't seen him in ages." "He's just busy," Sophia replied, but she didn't feel convinced. She couldn't shake the nagging feeling in her gut that something wasn't right. Then came the night that changed everything. Sophia was alone in the house, reading a book in the living room when the temperature dropped suddenly. She looked up and saw James standing at the doorway, but something was wrong. He was pale, almost translucent, his eyes wide and distant. She blinked, unsure if she was imagining things. "James," she asked, standing up. "What's wrong? Where have you been?" He didn't answer. Instead, his image seemed to flicker, like a weak signal on a television. A shiver ran down her spine. James, she repeated, her voice trembling. His face twisted into an unreadable expression, and then, in a voice that was barely a whisper, he spoke, I never meant to hurt you, Sophia. But I'm not who you think I am. Before she could respond, he vanished. The room grew even colder, and the weight of an unspoken truth settled on her chest. Her heart raced, and her hands trembled as she stood frozen in place, struggling to process what had just happened. The next morning, Sophia decided to search for answers. She scoured their house for any sign of him, anything that might explain his strange behavior. That's when she found it, an old photograph, tucked away in a drawer in the study. It was a picture of James, but the man in the photo looked very different. He was older, dressed in clothing from the early 1900s, and the date on the back was 1912. A chill ran down her spine as the pieces began to fall into place. She didn't know how, but somehow, she realized the truth. James wasn't alive. He had been dead for over a century. He was a ghost, trapped between worlds, somehow finding his way to her. Sophia was devastated. She loved him, but she couldn't live in a world where she couldn't touch him, where he wasn't truly there. It was a cruel twist of fate. She had finally found love, only to discover it was a love she could never fully experience. Sophia moved away, trying to rebuild her life, but she never truly forgot him. And as the years passed, she often wondered if, somewhere in the shadows, James was still watching over her. A love that was never meant to be, but one that would haunt her for the rest of her days. The Phantom Bride was a love story that transcended life and death, a story of yearning, deception, and the ultimate heartbreak, finding the one person you were meant to be with, only to realize that pair